Pro-Chancellor Melstride.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I thank the Chancellor for advanced sight of her statement and add our firm support for our armed forces. Madam Deputy Speaker, as the Chancellor has made clear, these are very serious and concerning times, and the developments in the Middle East are already having profound consequences for our economy. Oil prices have surged above $100 a barrel for the first time since the 2022 energy crisis. That alone is enough to have huge knock-on effects for households and businesses. Families filling up their car will already have noticed petrol prices increasing. Fixed-price energy tariffs have either been increased or pulled from the market. So we are already seeing British households worse off as a result of this conflict. I'm grateful to the Chancellor for updating the House on the meetings with other G7 finance ministers, and I welcome her commitment to support action to ease pressure on global supply by using strategic oil reserves. That, however, will only go so far. As the Chancellor said, the longer this conflict continues, the more likely it is that we will see a sustained period of higher prices. Of course, that in turn will also have implications for interest rates and for our cost of borrowing. The longer this lasts, the more likely it is that higher inflationary expectations become anchored. If that happens, monetary policy will need to adjust accordingly, which may mean higher mortgages for homeowners who have only just begun to see some relief. And of course, gilt markets have already been responding to these events, which could mean that forecasts we were given just last week from the OBR end up looking very, very different. We must continue to monitor developments closely. But Madam Deputy Speaker, where we on this side of the House clearly differ with the Right Honourable Lady is in her approach to the economy in the run-up to this crisis. Her gross mismanagement has left us far more vulnerable than would otherwise have been the case. Inflation, to which she refers, was bang on target when we left office. But thanks to the Right Honourable Lady's choices, it rose back up to almost 4% last year, the highest in the G7. And inflation remains elevated. That is far from ideal, given the threat of a significant further spike in energy prices. And of course, extraordinarily, the Chancellor has just now reconfirmed that the government will press ahead with a rise in fuel duty later this year. And borrowing is running higher than was forecast when the government took office. We are spending well over $100 billion a year on debt interest alone. That leaves us far more vulnerable to rising borrowing costs. And the government, of course, is continuing to impose ruinously high taxes on our oil and gas sector and choosing to rely on imports instead of maximising our own domestic energy supply. That is proving to be an incredibly short-sighted approach. But as the Right Honourable Lady has just told us, there will be no change in direction. That is the wrong choice. And more broadly, of course, business confidence has hit record lows and unemployment has risen back to pandemic levels. So our economy is weaker as a direct result of this Chancellor. Now, last week, Madam Deputy Speaker, at the spring statement, the Right Honourable Lady had an opportunity to change course, but instead we got no action at all. Just breathtaking self-congratulation and denial. She had a vital opportunity to come to this House with a plan to get the economy growing, but she did not do that, not least because this week government have caved into their own backbenchers who prefer higher welfare spending over fixing our economy. So today, let me reiterate our offer to support the government if, even at this late stage, and particularly given the gravity of the current global outlook, they do the right thing, show some backbone, and come forward with a proper plan to cut welfare spending and strengthen our economy so we can properly support hard-working families through this difficult time. This is the very least that the British people deserve. Finally, Mr. Speaker, could I ask the Right Honourable Lady, will she urgently reconsider her decision to implement the first increase in fuel duty in 15 years? Likewise, to urgently reconsider her decision to continue with the crippling taxes being imposed on North Sea oil and gas producers. On the Fingleton review on nuclear, can she clarify if the government is accepting all those recommendations as ministers previously committed to do? Can she give further details on what additional economic action is under consideration internationally if the conflict continues? What measures is the government considering to support households in the event of a sustained period of higher prices, and what action is being considered as part of the Financial Secretary's work to support those reliant on heating oil? Are the government tracking the Iranian regime's illegal funding sources to ensure UK financial systems are not facilitating funds that are being used to support repression? And can she confirm that there is sufficient resource available in the Special Reserve so that our brave servicemen and women have the support they deserve?
Chancellor of the Exchequer.